Reminiscing on a flashback, Hall of Fame name with a legacy that's long. That's the legend of the Armstrongs. Questions get answered, oh, you didn't know? Let's start the show.
What's up? How you doing? I don't even know how we're starting this thing. We're off the rails already. I am Casio, and I'm joined by Road Dogg, and you're listening to...
Oh, you didn't know? Holy mackerel, man. I was trying to hold that together, how we came on the air there. You know what, though? It's very symptomatic of the way I live my life. You know what I mean? Which is what? Just blindly walking through.
Wheels off.
95% of the time, I have no idea what I'm doing. But the other 5 is quasi-valuable. You know what I mean? Like they found a spot for me, and I got a desk under the stairs, but it's fine.
You're there? You're in the building?
It's a desk. No, I actually have a nice office that I'm never in. But this schedule, man, that I've been replacing, Michael P.S. Hayes because he had shoulder surgery. So I've been at every TV, and man, the schedule is hectic. I cannot imagine being an Russo or Sami Zayn or some of those guys that are just on the grind right now, really making a name for themselves, I might add, and really claiming that superstar status. But man, physically and emotionally and every other way, it's taxing. And I know they're half my age, but I'm not working. I'm just traveling. And so And so I'm fighting something. If you hear me coughing, I heard you cough earlier. Maybe it was when me and you made out in the parking lot after the show. But
it's mono. The kids
it could be mono. Mono. Anyway, so how are you doing? What are you? So it's
look, it's New Year. It's the new year.
It's a new year now.
It's a new year, baby.
I thought it was almost Christmas time.
2023.
So remember we pitched to talking about something this week, and we lied, I think, or did we? Or am I confused? So how are we doing this?
If you're listening to this, It is January 2023.
Okay.
We're giving you finally the Corny and Russo episode that we promised last week. But
so this is what you meant before we started by we're shooting out of order? Man, I don't understand that lingo. I don't understand you young people and your podcast lingo. Like, I don't know. No, I totally knew, and I still
the guy who runs
screwed that up. Yeah, I apologize. Just
it might be right. It might be why.
But I would make the same decision, and somebody like you would go, "Hey, ain't we doing this out of order?" And you go like, "Oh crap, yeah, sorry about that." Anyway, let's keep going. Because I have all the knowledge in my head, but none of it comes out the right time when it comes out of my mouth. But it's in there.
Well, look, you're great at live events. Recorded events is where...
Yeah. That's where the trouble begins.
This is recorded events.
When I get in front of the camera, that's problematic. Yeah. Common sense goes out the window. It's probably half the reason for all my problems in life.
Well,
but Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Sam was going to ask how your year was, and you just filled us in. It was crazy.
No.
Can you hit the road more?
Yeah. So let's
whirlwind.
Can we talk just a second about 2022? Because it was a whirlwind. It was a roller coaster of emotion. For me personally and professionally, I got fired. I got this podcast. I went on the road and did a lot of comic cons and different conventions, and Billy and I did a lot of Q&As and stuff. And so it was a great opportunity for me to kind of get out there and push I hate myself for even saying this, but push the brand, the Road Dogg. What is the Road Dogg brand? And really, I hope if anything, it's just, he's so stupid, it makes me laugh. You know what I mean? I hope that's exactly how it reads on my tombstone. Anyway, I forgot what we were talking about. So continue. Go ahead. Tell me about your 2022.
Your crazy 2022 and everything that happened. Yeah,
and so, man, then I got hired back, and now we're here, and these dumb millennials didn't smarten me up to shooting out of order. So let's talk about, I'm just kidding. The millennials are 10 times smarter than me, and that's why I screwed up the open of the show. It won't be the last time, people.
Now, we'll be in a meeting later. It's fine. We'll be in a meeting about this. It's fine.
Y'all will be. Y'all be trying to find a new co-host for you.
No, I thought you were like, I mean, I won't be there, but y'all have that meeting. Oh, what you got?
Bama national champs.
Okay.
It's
That's
sweet tea.
Not,
Sweet
not
tea
this year's cup, I would say.
No. It's not this year's cup.
Now,
I
they play at
should
11
have an
o'clock.
Auburn. I should have an Auburn cup, right?
Same championship game this
Hey,
year.
War Damn Eagle. Why do they have to curse? War Eagle sounds pretty cool. Like if you had an Indian, and he was called War Eagle, like that dude would be a BA, right? He would be BA Baracus. He would ride a horse that was painted and shoot you while going 40 miles an hour with a bow and arrow. That's the kind of dude War Eagle is. Why you got to curse? Like it just throws a curveball into a perfect WDE, dog, I guess.
4D! WDE. All right. Let's get this cranking. What better way to start this year off? You know how we all, New Year's resolutions was to do better and be better people and move forward. And, hey, we're a divisive country right now. So I say we start the year off by talking about somebody else fighting, not us.
And not me and you? Or
No.
you just meant America?
America, but me and you two, we're not fighting.
No, we haven't fought since, remember Thanksgiving in 73?
That was your
fault.
fault.
Dude, I beat the fire out of you.
But
let's go ahead, though, and talk about two people fighting.
Russo and Cornette, Vince Russo and Jim Cornette. And you, professionally, personally, very close to both of these guys.
Yeah, I actually am. I like to think that I am very close to both of them.
Two men.
Yeah, go ahead.
Now, I was going to say, two men that are in the news in professional wrestling on a weekly basis. Yeah. And they're not even in the professional wrestling business anymore.
And 9 times out of 10, they're in the news for dogging each other. You know what I mean? Like this fight has been going on. It is long-term booking, and neither one of them are talented enough to pull it off. I'm just kidding. I'm just totally kidding. I am. Of course, I left a edit point so you can use that sound bite.
That's the teaser.
Yeah. But it. Look, they're both geniuses at the industry, and you could also think they're both morons. You know what I mean? It's totally a philosophical thing, almost like, and I dare to bring it up again, almost like my look at wrestling and Brett's look at, his vision of wrestling. And so it's just very different styles, and one worked for a moment and one didn't. The other worked for a moment and then it didn't. Smoky Mountain was the last chance for Jim to do something, and he did. He had a heck of a territory there, but it was the time in America where things were changing and entertainment business wasn't what it used to be, and you know what I mean? Safety is an issue now, and things were changing, and so that smaller market like that just couldn't stand, you know what I mean? And so it wasn't that he wasn't good at what he did and he drove it in the ground or anything. I loved working there. I always thought exactly kind of like Jim. And I don't want to give away everything, but I also think immediately I think just like Jim, so I would need somebody who doesn't think like me to work with me when I book. You know what I mean? Because it would get very, we're doing the same thing in every match, and we're doing the same DQ, and we're doing this and that. And so you have to have people that think totally opposite than you do. The problem is when you have two passionate people that think polar oppositely and don't polar oppositely. Is that a word?
I was going with it.
You were just going to let me go?
I wrote it down. I was going to Google it later, but I was letting you go.
Okay. Well, don't play with your Googler while we're on the air. But it is. Dom said it is. Dom, by the way, escaped back into his house because he locked himself out.
Probably one of the dumb millennials, so we're taking his word for
it. Where were we at?
They're polar opposites working together.
So passionate. So man, you just got to really be professional. And I don't know if either one of those guys could be. Not at this point. They couldn't be. They could have been back then, but it didn't. Their relationship was never good. You know what I mean? It was always at each other, and then Vince got picked from how the story goes, or how it goes from Russo anyway, and we'll probably hear about that later. Is, hey, I was more in tune with the boss than he was, and so he got removed and I got added, and well, here we go. And so you don't know if it's professional jealousy or, just because of the spot. Like that happens, you know what I mean? And it's not uncommon, and it's not really a negative. To me, if you don't like, if you don't mind somebody else coming in and taking your spot, I guess you're doing the wrong job. So, yeah, their heat, I don't know what it is, but it is visceral. Hence, we're sitting here talking about them now,
Let's go back to the beginning. When do you remember meeting Jim Cornette for the first time? Long time ago.
Yeah, very long time ago too. Like, look, I wasn't young then, but you probably were. 87.
Yeah.
I remember. Well, no. So 86. What year did the first Jordans come out? 86 or 87?
Probably around there. Yeah.
Whichever year that happened, that's when it was. And I think it was at the
First Hit stores in 85.
Okay, well, so this was 86
Okay.
then, because they were fresh off the block, dog, and I thought I was cool. I was a senior in high school. No, I was going into my senior year in high school. But I went up to Atlanta with Brad to do, I think it was Clash of the Champions, or one of those big pay-per-views where they had the Skywalkers or whatever it was. And they had it in two different venues. Like one was in Greensboro and one was in Atlanta or something like that. And Brad wrestled like on the pre-show or on the early show. He wrestled like Jimmy Garvin or something, But it was a great card, and that was the first time I met him.
What do you remember growing up? Did you see him much when he was manager of Midnight Express? I mean, you're around the business, of course.
Yeah. No, look, he was basically in the South too for my whole childhood. Yeah. So I was, I saw him in Georgia Championship Wrestling and Continental Championship Wrestling, like in Memphis Wrestling. So I he had been around. I had been around him as far as seeing his work. I knew he was one of the best promo guys I've ever heard in my life, and still stand by that to this day. Just one of the, his promos are so, like I can't even keep my thoughts when we're talking. Me and you're just talking. He never messes up. You know what I mean? He never messes up, and he doesn't use small words either. Like, and so he tells a story. Like, just what a great promo. I always thought like, he was the measuring stick then. Like, if you can't cut a promo like that, like, I don't think you need to be a manager. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just stand there and not work either. You gotta have the gift of gab. You gotta do something special, and he did something special. And so for me, Jim, like I relive his career like we're talking about now, when he was the manager of those guys, and not so much when he went into creative and stuff like that. Like I said, I knew him in Smoky Mountain, and he was the boss, and he ran the show, and he did it with an iron fist sometimes. But Jim's a lot like me. Jim's a lot like my family, and so it never really, when Jim flew off the handle and cussed somebody out or whatever, that was Monday or Tuesday morning at my house. You know what I mean? Like, right. And then I joined the military, and it was just that kind of reaction may scare the straights, the normies, but to an Armstrong, that's Thanksgiving dinner. You know what I mean? Like, that's how we roll. And the world knows that too. All the wrestlers in, the wrestling world knows that. That will headbutt you. And so Jim's the same way. And he was running the whole show, so he had a lot of weight on his shoulders too when that was happening, Smoky Mountain and all that.
Do you think the art of managing is kind of lost nowadays when you take a look at how successful a heel like Cornette was? I mean, he was drawing money himself.
Yeah, and look, to me, I think Enzo Amore, I know I'll get a lot of heat for this, and I'm sorry, I like Enzo. He's a good guy. We have a great relationship, but like, if he was because now he can take bumps and stuff, if he was just a manager that could also pop up and take a bump, and you get 5 minutes with him if you beat his big dude or whatever. Like, I always thought he was the guy that could have been the next great manager in sports entertainment / professional wrestling. I'm not saying he's horrible at working, but I'm not going to say he's great at it either. And if any of you say that, then I question your sanity.
do you think it's harder to get over as a manager nowadays? Of course you've got Heyman and a couple others out there, but
man,
Heyman, there's not a major one besides Heyman.
Heyman is so established too. Like it didn't even matter. They kind of threw it in there that he leaves Brock and goes to Roman. You know what I mean? Like it was part of the story, but not like a huge part or whatever. So it was. He's universal, man. He could go out there with anybody and still brings that gravitas, that presence, that the verbal skills. He's another one, man. He's another one that can cut a promo. Like honestly, him and Cornette. Him being, I can hear Vince now saying pronouns, Brian. Paul Heyman. I was trying to say anyway. Paul Heyman. And Jim Cornette, best promo guys I've ever heard in my life. Like, I don't know. They can just go, man. And on the same topic, Enzo cut a heck of a promo, but I never knew what the crap he was talking about. So,
what, you brought up Vince. What was his take on managers? Did he like them? Did he care? Did he marry them?
I think the history says he likes them. You know what I mean? You look back on, like but we went the way of downtown Bruno and Gene Okerlund in a bra and panties match or something. You know what I mean? Like it went kind of sideways and crazy a little bit. But man, look back on all the managers that people had. You know,
they Brain.
Yeah, they really had a lot of them. But like Bobby, that's where the Heymans and the Cornettes of the world came from. They are cut from the same cloth. Where man, they got the gift of gab. They know the timing. They know comedic timing. They know when to be serious. Their brains are smart to the industry and to the way to manipulate a crowd with your words. You know what I mean? They're like a wordsmith. I like to call them. It's actually a thing, wordsmith.
That was definitely one. I don't have to Google it. We've discussed it in the past in previous episodes about Smoky Mountain Wrestling. But when you came back to the WWF in '96, Cornette was already a big part of the creative team at that point, right?
Yep. And I'll tell you what. So '96, I came back and I was doing the Double J thing for a while there. It was just show up, get a win every now and then on TV. Sing the song on the way to the ring, whatever. I was not seriously involved in a creative story, really until me and Billy came together. You know what I mean? And that came out of even just doing matches on television to keep the character alive. And so, I'm sorry, what were we talking about? Give me a second.
About how he was a big part of the team when you came back.
Oh, yeah, he was a big part of the team, but I wasn't. That's what I was getting at. A long-winded way to say it. I apologize. I never worked with him that closely when he was in the creative team. So what I remember about him the most is those things that just showed a picture of him. If you're not watching, it was a picture of him when he had those Cornette's rants or Cornettes, whatever they were called. And he would just go off for like 3 minutes or 2 minutes. And to me, it was some of the best television I'd seen in a long time. And it's a way to both tear down or build up talent that you have or others have, and it was I thought it was genius, and it was probably his idea, or no, it was probably somebody else's idea because they heard him doing that backstage, just ranting about somebody, and they went, oh my God, we should just film that, you know what I mean? We should just tape that. I forget what it was called, but it was entertaining. You know what I mean? It was entertaining, and it was crap talking, and that's what I feel like nobody talks crap anymore. And that's what Heyman and Cornette came up doing. And a lot of the old timers cutting promos. And I'll say it wasn't, stuff wasn't scripted then, so they could kind of say what they wanted to say. But coming up, you had to have that gift of gab, or,
lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, you're kind of lost in the shuffle. You're just a wrestler. You know what I mean? Like you gotta have another layer to your onion, and so I don't know. They had it. Cornette had it. I got off the rails a little bit there, but it was all about promo skills, and that's Cornette. That's Cornette's wheelhouse, man.
Did you notice any difference in him personally from your time in Smoky Mountain compared to when you came back to WWF?
No,
really?
No.
Same guy?
You know what? No, Jim has always been Jim. And to his credit, he's always been Jim Cornette, and that's what what you see is what you get. And maybe that's his next T-shirt. Is I'm Jim Cornette. What you see is what you get. So I don't know, but like he's always been that way, and he's always been kind to me and my family, always, and so for that I am thankful.
Was he ever in a spot where you leaned on him for advice? Was your relationship with him that way?
Well, yeah, all the time when I was working at Smoky Mountain, like if I had a promo or if I, you know what I mean, the creative of a match or something, yeah, all the time. So, and I listened to, I didn't ignore him when I was at WWE. I just didn't work with him a lot. So I would still converse with him, you know what I mean? Like we still knew each other from the old days, so that we had that connection. And when you come up, you go, "Hey, how you doing?" So I was still there. So I would still sit under the learning tree every now and then, especially if I did have a question that I wasn't 100% sure of. And I would suggest all wrestlers today not be so sure of yourselves and get a second opinion before going out there like that, or
constructive
trying this out.
criticism. What?
Trying this out home. Trying this at home. Yeah, that's what. If you don't have somebody to shoot holes in your crap, you think you're awesome all the time. You know what I mean?
You said you were used to his brashness, his loudness, his colorful language.
Oh yeah.
But do you ever remember one stand out more than the others?
So one time, and I don't think I was there. I think I heard the story that one time they were working the Harris boys. My brothers were, and Jim was with the Harris boys, and they bumped him out of the ring, and they backed up the entranceway, and now Jim is kind of going up the entranceway, but he's not with the Harris boys. He's farther behind them. And Jim turns around as he's walking and says something to Scotty and shakes his, Scotty and Stevie and shakes his tennis racket at him and does his character stuff. Well, he bumps into a person when he's walking backwards, and he turns around and beats the person all about the head and neck and upper torso region with that tennis racket. And I mean, put a whipping on him. Bing, bang, boom. They got the kid out of there. The Harris twins started coming back down to get him out of there. They almost had a riot. So
he bumped into the guy.
He bumped into the guy. The guy was just walking across the entranceway because he had his drinks now or something. You know what I mean? So he's just going back to his seat. You know what I mean? And Cornette just beat the fire out of him with a tennis racket. And I can see that. And and I heard several, colorful language at television tapings and especially in Smoky Mountain when, it was all on him and he's running things on a budget and every decision goes to him. And so when something didn't go right, things didn't go right. You know what I mean?
The word was his, and it was a loud, colorful.
And he can cut a good promo. So it's almost like he's cussing you out, but you're caught yourself hanging on every word. You know what I mean? Like
this is really good.
And then he stops and you go like, oh, crap. Let me plug that back in, sir. You know what I mean? Like, my bad.
Oh, that was all about me? Woo!
Oh, you're talking to me? My bad.
Well, you read somebody a new one. Oh, it's me. Okay.
It's colorful and entertaining at the same time.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about the first time you meet Russo.
Look at him. There's a picture of him up in black and white, like it's a glamour shot. He looks glamorous. You know what? It would have to be probably maybe 90, maybe 95 the first time I was there, but I know in 96, I think when I was there, when I was the roadie with Double J, first time now I got it. During the OJ trials. So, it was not the trials, but right after the murder happened, was the first time I met him because he and I and Jeff flew out to California and got in a rental car and drove around Brentwood or Lakewood or whatever it's called. I think it was Brentwood actually.
Brentwood.
And cops were constantly circling the area. You weren't allowed to stop. So we had the car stop and we got out and ran through neighborhoods and through through the backyards of stuff and got over there so we could get a picture. And this went in the WWE magazine. a picture of Jeff Jarrett in all white and me and Rhodey out in kind of gear, and Jeff holding a black bag up that was like in the OJ trial, and it said Jeff Jarrett's looking for a new home now that he signed his WWE contract or whatever.
God.
Yeah, and it was that was the first time, and we called it running and gunning, but we should have called it life and a knifing. Just kidding. Sorry, I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't know if I should have said that.
That's your friend.
I apologize if I shouldn't have.
I've already got it to our T-shirt guy. We'll run with it. We'll figure it out as we go. So that was your first. Hey, we're working together with Russo.
First introduction to Vince Russo.
Well, it sounds like that was a fun
it
experience.
It was fun too, and that's the thing is I like both of these guys. I really do. I don't know I would almost love to have one of them on and say, why? You know what I mean? And so from what I understand, and I guess we'll hear some of this, but from what I understand, like Russo said I'll work with him. I'll be fine to work with him. But I don't know if that was the case. You know what I mean? It felt like a two-way street, but it feels like a two-way street at this point for sure. I just don't know what lit the fuse. You know what I mean? And look, if you have any information, Casio, I'd love to know from you.
Well, I was gonna say
where were you at 9 o'clock on September the 13th? You
can just, if you just listen to one episode of each of their podcasts and didn't know anything else, you would go. These two guys are completely different creatively. Yeah. Personally, I think everything about them is totally opposite of each other, and which would lead to, like you said, the balance of good and bad. Of we can bounce ideas that the other guy might not ever thought of, and have a good thing. But there's also if his ideas start getting picked, now there's politics involved. And it's a whole and that goes in every job. You
have to form, build, and maintain a working relationship with this person. And look, I would say no matter what, and I would say definitely now, if they both got hired tomorrow, would they not be able to work together? Like, is that what we're saying here? We're
it doesn't seem like it, does
50 something, 60 something year old gentlemen. Like, we don't have that out of our systems yet. Look, I don't want to headbutt nobody no more. That was when I was high.
What would you think? Maybe a big question to kind of wrap down into, but maybe the difference between Jim's core values of professional wrestling versus Russo's. What would you look?
I definitely think it's pro wrestling and sports entertainment. You know what I mean? Okay. I really do believe that's it at the crux, because Jim is a traditionalist, and I do not negate the importance or the the weight that tradition carries in our business and in our industry. And it's falling by the wayside. Like, it's different traditions are being formed, and different habits, and different, and while you agree or disagree, if I don't grow and evolve, then I guess I end up on this podcast talking about wrestling every week. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I'm doing it now because I love you, Casio. And and I'm just any chance I get to build that relationship with you. But you know what I mean? Like, if you're really, like, we can't work together. You can't look another man in the eye and go, hey man, I may not go to Thanksgiving dinner at your house, but let's work together, man. I think you're valuable. I think I'm valuable. I think together we're valuable squared. You know what I mean? Like, it's our new tag team name. We're printing T-shirts.
Value squared. Do you think, so on the flip side, Russo is more of the, hey, let's think outside the box.
100%.
Creatively, we're 100% different.
So outside the box that D-Generation X happened. You know what I mean? And it wasn't his idea. Like, he didn't have the idea, but he wrote us into all those scenarios, and he helped form the idea. You know what I mean? So, and then he nurtured it with his creative writing. And so, look, I know people who love Cornette and hate Russo are hating what I'm saying right now. And a minute ago when I was putting over Cornette, just the opposite was happening. But here's my point, and believe you me, it ain't me. But at some point, something's got to bring us together. You know what I mean? Like something, and this is the bigger conversation now. I feel like I am talking about the country. Like, man, there are a lot more similarities than there are differences between each and every person in the whole United States. And if we could start there, like, and it goes back. I won't go any further down that rabbit hole, but I will correlate it. You know what I mean? To the Cornette Russo fight. They're just on polar opposite ends, and they refuse to see any similarities or any middle ground because they're so passionate and so dug in their belief systems. I think that's great. I think there's room for that to be dug in. But now we got to figure out how to evolve a little with wrestling, and it's not potty stuff like you know, when Vince was writing. It's not I don't know, classic traditional old school wrestling where you beat people with a body slam. Like it has all evolved. And I think they just need to grow a little bit too. And I know that'll probably cause a ruckus. But if they, you know, just think about it and go like, dang, maybe if we came together, what a powerful force they would be to have. Like if they could get along, what if they did a debate tour? You know what I mean? Where they would make millions. And I truly believe that, because I'd love to go see it, because I'll listen to both of them talk. They both have a message. They both have points to be made. Then it's up to me to decide. You know what I mean? And I'd pay money to see that on Netflix, actually.
Look, let's face it, the nights are getting longer. That's right. It's getting dark before you even get home some nights. But the breeze isn't the only thing that's getting stiff. Yeah, I know the cold winter is upon you, and that means you start to get stove up. That means them knees start locking up. That doesn't have to be the only thing, my friends. That's right. This episode is sponsored by Blue Chew. Guys, we all know that confidence can take you far in life, and that's especially true in the bedroom, especially when it's time to step up to the plate, and that's where Blue Chew comes in. Yes, Blue Chew, that unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in chewable tablets and at a fraction of the cost. You can take them anytime, day or night, so you can plan ahead, or you can be ready whenever the opportunity arises. The process is simple. Sign up at BlueChew.com, and then you consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you're going to receive your prescription within days. And the best part, it's all done online. No visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations with the nurses you might know there, no waiting in line at the pharmacy where you might see your neighbor or somebody you went to school with, and then you're picking up those pills that you want to keep personal. Not here with Blue Chew. Blue Chew's tablets are made in the USA and prepared and shipped direct to your door in the last discreet package that you'll have until next month when you get your next shipment. Look, oh, you didn't know, listeners, we've got a special deal for you, all right? It's time to get off the couch and back to work. So if your tool needs an upgrade, head to BlueChew.com and be sure you tell them Dog sent you. You want to know why? That's because you could benefit from that extra confidence when it's time to perform. Chew it and do it. Have better sex. We've got a special deal for our podcast listeners. Try Blue Chew free when you use the promo code DOGG, D-O-G-G, at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code DOGG, D-O-G-G. You're going to receive your first month free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast. Get to BlueChew.com. Special right now. $5 shipping. D-O-G-G. Get that dog back in you. Let's get into, let's see actually some of this back and forth that they are going to.
Okay.
You can narrate it, or you can respond to Jim, or break it down however you want to see fit,
Okay.
Dog. Because at the end of the day, Dog, you've done both of their jobs, technically. Yeah. You've been an entertainer out there. Some would say the best sports entertainer this side of Bret Hart. It's also
right this side of him, though. Like it's neck and neck breaker.
You've been in the head creative position before, and this is some of the first-hand battle between Cornette and Russo. Let's go to a courtesy of official Jim Cornette YouTube channel. This is Jim Cornette himself. about his first big fight with Vince Russo.
The story with me and Russo, that was over China's match. That one time we had the thing in the hallway and he went to Vince on me.
It was China against who?
I don't remember. It doesn't matter. Because we had a Monday Night Raw, 2 hours long. There were 8 matches. We did the production meeting, and 6 of the matches were going to end in disqualification. And I'm shaking my head already, right? So I'm one of the agents, and whatever matches I had, and not only Raw matches, but we did other stuff that night. So I'm flittering around. And by the way, I was never an agent for China for any of her matches because I was never an agent for anything involving Michaels and Helmsley because Vince already knew how I felt about them after the curtain call. So I was relieved from having anything. It was always either Jack Lanza or Pat Patterson if it was a pay-per-view or whatever. So I never had to fucking work with that group as the agent, and I was happy
can we
with
stop
that.
right
I was
there?
over with the guys that were
Stop it down right there. Not because he dropped the F-bomb, but
It went longer than I thought, Bob.
No. I wanted to preface that, and I apologize for any young people that are listening. If that word offends you, I apologize. But I wanted to stop there for a different reason. Like, that's how that happened. The curtain call happened. The curtain call and it's the people that were involved in it changed the wrestling business forever. Changed it for the better. For athletes, for everybody, for the industry. Look at it. It's enormous. It's bigger than it's ever been. It's more profitable than it's ever been. So those gentlemen did that, whether it was right, wrong, or indifferent. And I say that a lot, but no matter whose side you're on here, man, it happened. And acceptance is the key. What happened after that was a evolution / revolution. And Vince Russo was kind of at the helm of it. The Attitude Era that I wouldn't have a podcast if it wasn't for the Attitude Era. The real Double J, Jesse James, would not have a podcast. And I don't know, maybe I would. Maybe me and you, Casio, would do something after dark.
Yeah, nobody would listen to it.
We'd do something after dark because nobody will be watching or listening. But so what was I on there? I'm sorry. It was about 4 times.
About the curtain call and how he said.
Yeah. So
they were not his
those
boys
guys
after
changed.
that.
They changed the business forever. Get past it. You know what I mean? Like that. So you won't work with these guys because they did something that, and that's yes. He says yes. The answer to his question is
right.
You don't want to work with those guys because they did that and you feel like it was giving away kayfabe. And the answer for Jim Cornette is yes. That's exactly how I feel. I don't feel that way. I mean, was there a part of me that went, oh my God, what are they doing? Of course there was. I'd been in the business 10 years by then, you know what I mean? Or however long. I didn't break in when Jim did, that's for dang sure, but I broke in when it was still very tight-lipped and you know what I mean? Like it was very still protected. But look, things changed and it went the other way. So it just makes me feel uncomfortable when I hear him go, look, he already knows how I feel about them. I wasn't working with them. Like, holy crap, we were kind of hot. They were kind of hot. We could have used you, dude. Right. You know what I mean? That's how I feel about it. We really could have used you because you could have been a good balance. We could have, with you and him together, we would have been unstoppable. You know what I mean? But it was, I don't know, you heard it from his own mouth. He wasn't going to work with those guys. And he's as firm in those beliefs as I am in some of mine. So I totally understand it.
Let's see what he says.
Yeah, let's see what's next. And again, I apologize if there's curse words. Put your finger,
more serious about the wrestling business and not being divas or prima donnas. But one of the production assistants comes up because I've got the Raw format and I'm working off of it. And if there's any changes, you're supposed to be told. And they've changed the finish. What? In China's match with one of the girls. It was a match with a girl. And what is it? No, because something happened. He's going to
say it's a DQ.
There was going to be some fucking business. I think she was going to lose it. They changed it to a DQ. I said, what? Yeah, Triple H went in and talked to Russo. Oh, God damn it. So I go and I find Russo in the hallway. I said, Vince, I said, you just made another one a DQ. Now we've got 7 DQs out of 8 matches on this program. And it wasn't even who was in it. It was just the idea of that's ridiculous, right? It's just garbage, lazy booking.
I guarantee you that's not the tone he used.
And he looked at me when I said, we've got 7 out of 8 DQs now. Do we need to do this? He said, DQ, schmeq, nobody cares, and turned around like he was going to walk off from me.
That is
I swear that's a quote. I swear it's a quote.
Yeah.
And now, see, here's the thing. I had gone over to him in the corner, in the hall, in the arena. People are walking around, but we're having a quiet discussion. Well, I said, we got 7 DQs. And it's loudly and with a look on his face and like he knows something about wrestling that I don't, which is goddamn ridiculous. And just DQ, schmeq, nobody cares, and starts to walk away. And that's when I said, well, I tell you what, motherfucker.
Oh,
here we go. There in about a year and a half when you're back running a fucking video store because you put this whole place out of business. And all the boys
cut
heard
that. Cut that. Yeah, I'm sure everybody heard that.
But he started quietly, he promises.
He started conducting himself because he wasn't mad already. He said he was shaking his head in the production meeting.
Yeah.
He was
waiting
mad
on it
from noon. He was pissed.
He was looking for a reason.
11:48. He was angry, and so he was. And then when they went to that 7th DQ, he couldn't hold his tongue no more. No, but look, I get that. I mean, that is crazy, right? So, but I also get. I don't get it, but I do, that nobody cares. Because if you give them something awesome with a DQ, but it doesn't just end with stop wrestling, ding, 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 this match has ended in a disqualification. You know what I mean? If you give them some bing, bang, boom, and Bob's your uncle at the end of that thing, I think a DQ kind of is necessary every now and then. You know what I mean? I don't like non-finishes, but I think creatively when you're doing 5 hours of TV a day, a DQ can help you out. A DQ can get somebody over or under or whatever. You know what I mean? Like you can utilize those. So I understand saying that. I think it's just both of them are hyperbolic. Like he said DQ schmeq. Like already you go like, okay, this is we're not having a real conversation here.
Yeah,
you
I think either one of us are going to be.
I think you said schmeq. I'm not sure.
You lost me at schmeq.
It's schmeq. You had me up until schmeq. Schmeq very much. Yeah, schmeq very much. I don't know. So, but look, this is a valid point, and I'm horrible at communicating with the ones I love. I'm not saying Cornette and Russo were in love at this point, but I am horrible at communicating when it's something I believe, some way I feel like it should go. It should, you know what I mean? And so I think Jim is probably the same way, and he was excited and he was angry and he just saw the change that came through. Somebody ran up and said, hey, now they changed that. It's a DQ finish. And I've been in his shoes where I quit at TV and walked away, you know what I mean? And said, I can't handle this anymore. So Jim just going off on somebody is totally, I've done that a bunch of times.
Happens all the time, right?
Yeah, it does. It happens, you know.
Oh, if you want to learn how to communicate with your wife, just say love you, schmove you, and walk off.
Turn my back on her. Yeah, that'll work.
But say it loudly so the whole place
so everybody
can hear
hears.
Yeah, and then they know you love her.
But look, communication is the key, right? And this is the younger people understand this a little better than older people do, but they also never been punched in the face. So there's a fine line there. But communication, man, is the key. And if that's the whole thing. If they could communicate successfully, what a powerful creative force they would be in the wrestling world. That's the soundbite you should put out there, but it wouldn't get anything. Put the crap where I buried Bret Hart, and that'll light the world on fire.
Let's see this clip. We've got another clip. This is courtesy of The Hannibal TV on their YouTube channel.
I think he's interviewed me before. The Hannibal. He's a big old dude too.
Yeah, he's interviewed everybody.
Has he worked? Is he a worker?
That I do not know.
If I say it in Carney, will you understand? Is he a whizzerker? No, but he's a twizzerker. So, Hannibal, I want you to send a video to our podcast of you twerking, and we'll put it up there. And
Okay. That's a deal.
no, you have to have pants on. You have to have pants on, Hannibal.
Oh, I don't know if we can do it then. But let's get this video of him. This is Vince Russo talking to Hannibal about Jim Cornette being removed from WWE.
Again,
booking.
I don't know.
Here's where the politics come in.
I don't know what kind of language is used here, so I apologize in advance.
Yes, apologies.
At that point, it became me, Vince, and Cornette. Bruce took over the talent relations spot, so he was out of the creative altogether. Now it's me, Vince, and Cornette sitting at a table. And now, bro, obviously Vince is bringing me in because there needs to be a change. There needs to be a change of thinking. There needs to be a change of philosophy. And while the three of us are sitting there, it is crystal clear to me that Vince McMahon and myself are much, much more on the same page than Vince and Jim. And that's when Vince took Jim off of creative, and then it was just him and I. And that was, I remember Cornette was still involved, bro, with the Survivor Series and all that. I remember it was me, Vince, and Cornette with the screw job. He was still involved then, the Chainsaw Charlie era and all that. So it had to be the very end of December or the very, very beginning of the year in January where it was just Vince and I.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal.
Oh, you're welcome, though, Hannibal. Thank you for giving us Vince Russo's take. And look, that's what I wanted to say. Like, we've heard from both of them about each other, and maybe that's where the heat started. But I don't know. I love the fact that he brought up, because it tells me exactly when it was. 97. He was still on, right? 97 is when we. Was it 97 or 98? We were working with Chainsaw Charlie and them. Why are you laughing? Because I can't remember dates.
I started laughing because you said you immediately started laughing when he said Chainsaw Charlie. You were all over that.
I did because I remember
put you in a place.
It put me there and put me like, oh, okay, this is what time they're talking about. And it also put me in a place of, I remember Terry Funk. Jim wanted him to come in so bad, and Mick Foley, and they were on it, and Vince finally said, nobody knows who Terry Funk is. You can and I think Cornette said you could put a stocking over his face and call him Chainsaw Charlie if you want to. Like, something that crazy is how it came about. And it was like, okay.
Chainsaw Charlie made his debut on Raw December 29th, 1997.
97. But
End of
97.
late
97, yeah. Yeah, so he was still there during that.
Well,
I don't know that. By the way, I don't know that that's exactly how that story went down, but I heard it was something like that. Like, Jim kept fighting for him to come in, and it was like, why? What are we doing? You know what I mean? And he came in, and we we tried to kill him, and hey, that first time he came out of there, he was swinging that thing, and gas was flying, and everywhere he went like this, gas flew out of it, all over the people, all over us. It was crazy. And I was thinking, like, it's a goddamn chainsaw. Like, he had a chainsaw with a chain on it because he had to cut through the wood. And they were like, this is not safe, gentlemen. It was like, oh, we're going to be very far away from him. And
then he's in the crowd.
Yeah, throwing gas at everybody. Hey, I'll never forget in WCW, Terry Funk came to me one day, and we had a 6-man, and he goes, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to light my cowboy hat on fire, and I'm going to go out. And I said, well, Terry, they probably won't let you do that. We're in Disney. You know what I mean? We're in Disney Studios. You probably shouldn't. He said, you think they'll get mad? I said, Terry, I think they'll probably arrest you, maybe. I don't know. But he ended up not lighting his hat on fire.
What was the purpose of lighting it on fire?
He thought people would remember that, and he was right. He's right. They would have.
I think this year we should do a Terry Funk episode, so I can hear you talk like that for 2 hours.
Oh my Lord!
I can listen to you all do a whole podcast.
What a great guy!
I'm gonna light my hair on fire.
What a man! What a man Terry Funk was. Do you remember Roadhouse? Like that it wasn't real when Patrick Swayze beat him up. That wasn't for real.
I just need all Terry Funk quotes in that voice. It's my favorite impression you do. I just found out.
He told me that you son of a bitch has tried to kill me. And I said, what happened? Terry, what happened? He said, you power bombed me and my ass cheek hit the dumpster. I was laughing by this time. I said, what? So he showed us his hind end, and it's where Billy, I blame it on Billy every time. Billy power bombed him in the dumpster so hard he hit the edge of it, man, and it bruised from the top of his butt cheek to the bottom, to like almost the bottom of his calf, and I'm not even kidding, was bruised so bad, and it looked horrible. Like, oh my God, you should go have that drained or something. Like, and he wrestled like that for a month after we did the dumpster match, in more hardcore matches and stuff where me and Billy a couple times, and I'm not even kidding, I'm dead serious. Of course, we weren't like gonna do it, but we did say these words. I'm going to kill him tonight. I said, let's kill Terry Funk tonight. And Billy would go, okay. And dude, as hard as you hit him,
I was about to say, if you told him that to his face, wouldn't he? He'd be like, all right, let's go.
Yeah, I'll see you out there. I'm telling you. And it would put you, it would.
What'd he say?
Let's kill Terry Funk. I'm serious. And look, I was in a weird place. But what I meant was, we weren't going to actually do it. We were just going to beat him up in the ring. Right. But here's what I didn't really realize until about 6 months and working around the loop with him, because I'm stupid. He's the toughest man ever made in America. And no matter how hard you hit him, he throws a left punch that you don't see a lot of. You know what I mean? You don't see a lot of left-handed people. And so the last thing you expect to receive is from you kicking him or hitting him in the head is just a left swinging like Bradshaw's clothesline. But this part of his hand right here, how do I show that? That part right there just hits you in the neck or in the head, just or a club. It's like a boat oar. Like I don't even know what, like a cricket bat. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to get international here for you. And it hurt so bad that you would literally just tag out or cry or something. I cried a couple times. I cried the first night of boot camp, and I cried one time when Terry Funk hit me really hard.
Did he talk a lot in the ring?
Oh, yes. And it's all nonsense.
Like
but
what?
it makes I told you on the last episode where he said the ARP to my dad. Like, the topic of the day was AARP in the back. So he literally said ARP the whole time, the whole match. So he would do stuff like that, like whatever we talked about in the back. Like, you know what I mean? Like, whatever, you know what I mean? To wrist tape, you know what I mean? Wrist tape, you know, he's just going like, what are you? And then we talk, and, you know, you talk a lot in there if you're comfortable. And with those guys, we were very comfortable. And I don't know how comfortable he was with us. We were trying to kill him. But I can tell you this much.
I need an ARP chant like the Yes when we come out. ARP.
and so we tried to kill, or let's to kill Terry Funk is on the front of the shirt, and on the back it's like, we came, we saw, he kicked our ass. You know what I mean? That's all there is to it.
Yes, we did.
Let's kill Terry Funk. Nope.
We did not. Oh my God. Where are we at? What are we talking about? Let's just do more Terry Funk for the rest.
Yeah, I did get off on a tangent there, but that's
well, it's because it's my new favorite impression.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry, and now you put me on the spot with it. I'll screw it up. But
killed me.
But Cornette and Russo was the conversation. We went off on that because of Cornette trying to get Terry Funk in there, because Terry Funk is the traditionalist wrestling man's favorite. But then he even migrated over to the not so traditional ECW stuff. You know what I mean? So what are you going to do? You know, you
Well,
grow or you go.
Do you remember when Cornette is removed from that writing squad? What was the dynamic like? Do you remember it personally?
I do not. Obviously, I do not. I didn't even remember he was still working with us when Chainsaw Charlie was there. But,
So
but
you don't remember it? You weren't aware of issues at that moment in the heat?
No,
of it.
not at all.
You
Because I
personally.
thought, look, we were on top of the world. I thought everything was going great. You know
Right.
what I mean? And and honestly, I wasn't involved a lot. I wasn't involved in the creative. Like, I trusted Hunter would look out for me. I trusted Sean would look out because we were attached to them. Anything that looks bad on us looked bad on them. I trusted that they had my best interests at heart, and I knew they had the ear. You heard Cornette talking about that. So I just trusted, and I didn't get involved creatively. I would get involved in the creative of my match or whatever, but like I show up to TV and, hey, what are we doing? I would like to think that's what people liked about me. Hey, if he's coherent enough, he'll just do what you ask him.
Right.
So I don't know. You know what I mean? I trust. I wasn't involved heavily inside the creative process because I was partying and making a lot of money and being on top of the wrestling world. And I lost my way, and here we are.
Well, you've talked about how Russo has really pushed that Attitude Era, and maybe not the exact idea, but he helped make it blossom.
Look, you talked about it earlier. It's outside the box thinking. I mean,
Right.
look at that hairdo, bro.
Come on.
And look at the
That's
outfit.
outside the box.
Yeah, this is how he came to work, bro. And he says bro like 40 times during this very conversation. Excuse me, yeah, I'm fighting something. But yeah, I mean, he was the outside the box guy. When wrestling had been wrestling for so long that it was wrestling, he was outside the box and he changed the game. And along with the help of Jim Cornette, because you see he's still here during the early years of the Attitude Era. So I don't know, man. I don't know. These two guys can't get along, and I want them to because I think they would be awesome.
Those two gentlemen in the picture we just showed on our YouTube channel, if you're watching along with us, Vince McMahon and Russo. Russo takes a lot of credit, and rightfully so. He deserves a lot. What do you think his credit should be, maybe compared to Vince in the Attitude Era itself?
Compared to Vince McMahon?
Yes.
I would say they're equal. If they both sat there and wrote, they both had equal input. Now, look, Vince is the boss, and it's good to be the king. If you don't like your idea, he's going to tweak it or he's going to change it. But if they're working together, they're working together. And that's why one thing, like, I don't feel like it's fair for anybody, and I mean anybody, to take credit for what was done during this time in wrestling or that time in wrestling. Man, there's so many entities involved in creating that special moment. From writing it on paper to running it by talent, and they make it their own, or they keep it exactly the way, but they add their flair to it, or that, you know what I mean? And then you got to go out there on live TV and execute it. You need cameramen to shoot it and guys to replay it. And you know what I mean? Like, it's such a team effort. It's like, it's literally, it takes a village. And so for one person to go, and look, I know I get caught up in that. Oh, I was writing when that happened. Yeah, I was. That's a fact. It wasn't all me. That's for dang sure. You know what I mean? Like, I can't own 5 years or 4 years of SmackDown time because a lot of it was me, but also a lot of it was 100 other people. Right. And so it's always weird when one person gets the credit. Was he writing all of our DX stuff? Yeah, he was writing us into scenarios, and I say that all the time. It's very important to me because he didn't script us stuff to say. He wrote us into scenarios, and we acted our way out of them. That's my DX statement, blanket statement.
When Russo left the WWF for WCW, did you think he was going to succeed in the business? What do you remember?
Yeah,
about
no,
him
I thought.
switching
Look,
teams?
I thought he would succeed. What I didn't realize was that society, the culture, had moved past that, and it was now. Look, maybe it's just me, and I'm okay if that's the answer. But something happened during that time period where what he was doing now was gross and offensive and Jerry Springer. And what he was doing with us was funny and entertaining. If that's me saying that, I'm quite all right with that answer because that's the way I saw it. But I almost feel like it was bigger than that. Like Viagra on a pole match, Judy Bagwell, and you know what I mean? Like things that are, he became the champion. Like things that might have worked during the Attitude Era, but it didn't work now. And I don't know why, but I didn't like it either. You know what I mean? So I guess that's why it wasn't good or entertaining. But I thought he would succeed because he had succeeded before that. You know what I mean? So I just thought he got a great track record. Look, I don't think he, I don't know. I'm not smart enough to know dollars and cents. And if he ran WCW in the ground, I just see it as that was the way it was all supposed to be. I also believe in a higher power and things happen the way they're supposed to. And then when they happen, whether you like them or not, you kind of got to get over it and move on. You know what I mean? And so it's the transition of two companies to one company. Now we're back at two, and one is about to get a better television show because of Mike Mansouri. Shout out to Mike Mansouri.
What was your relationship like with Cornette when he went to OVW? Did you have any? Was it the same as when you went in?
No, I did not. And to be quite honest with you, I don't think I ever had one interaction with the OVW. I think I was gone by then. You know what I mean? By the time, or either I just didn't know about it, but I never went down there. I didn't really know it existed, to be quite honest with you. And I know a lot of guys that are huge in the industry now, huge in a lot of different industries now, went through there. But I honestly think it was kind of after my run while I was inebriated. Sorry.
But you didn't have a falling out, so to speak. You just
No, I just
kind of just went out of contact.
Yeah, just like when you got friends in the wrestling business and he goes elsewhere to work.
Yeah.
And you go like, oh, okay. Well, if I saw Jim Cornette tomorrow, it would be a handshake and a hug and that's where we're at in our relationship. Same for Vince Russo. I wouldn't talk politics with either one of them.
When Russo left for WCW, did you same thing? Just lose contact with him? You weren't still talking to him at all, were you?
No, it wasn't a one thing or another. It was just like, he's gone. Now what do we do? We just keep going, right? The show must go on. And so, I don't know. I wish I would have been more attentive to what was going on around me in the industry, because it sure wouldn't have been such a tough road. Excuse me, I'm going to throw up. And when I'm done puking, I'll get back to talking to you guys. No, but I wish I would have been more attentive. You know what I mean? And it would have been a lot easier. But that's not how it was supposed to happen. Right. It happened exactly the way it was supposed to happen, and here we are.
Were you surprised to see Russo when he popped up at TNA?
Yeah. Yeah, I was. But I knew Jeff and him had a relationship. You know what I mean? And they, in my mind, had a better relationship than he and I had, just because they had worked together and collaborated on a lot of stuff. So I think Jeff probably has a better relationship than I, and that's what we could talk about on another podcast is now Vince Russo and Jeff Jarrett going at it over Twitter. But I noticed Vince keeps saying, if you want to hear my response, dip behind the pay window.
I'll tell you what he said if somebody wants to pay that for me. I'm not going to pay it. Was Russo... look, you were a different human. You've said it in many episodes before your time in TNA. But was Russo any different? Did he seem the same guy to you at that time?
Yeah.
Compared to when you worked with him in WWF?
Yeah, except, tell you the truth, he was never chaotic or never cussed me out. We had gotten one argument that I think I've mentioned on here before where he did script something I was supposed to say, and I was not going to say it, and he got mad. I said something smart aleck, and he said something smart aleck, and I wanted to be the bigger smart aleck, so I yelled at him and threw the paper in his face. But then we had to go to Vince's office, and he made us shake hands and make up. And but look, he was the same guy, except he became a Christian, and he was trying to live a different life and I don't know what he did behind the scenes, because it was like I was partying, but it wasn't with him. You know what I mean? And so I didn't know what he did, if he did anything. But I know he was trying to live a better life. And at that point I was too. I wasn't done using drugs, but I was trying to be better, a better man. It just took a couple more years for me to hit that final rock bottom. But yeah, he was the same guy. That's the thing, is they're both the same guy. It's so funny because one's from Louisville and one's from New York, and it's just the perfect odd couple. And that's why I think like a live show with those two, if they had a mediator, it'd have to be stinking Tank Abbott.
Terry Funk. Let's get Terry Funk as the mediator.
Okay, Mr. Cornette, you go first. Okay, Russo, what do you got to say, you egg-sucking dog? So I would think that would be great. You know what I mean? Hey, one time for a shoot on Smoky Mountain, so it's Cornette related, Terry Funk did an interview where he was going to fight my dad, and he said, Bob Armstrong, your wife is a whore. And he said that on television, and he said, your sons are all bastards. And yeah, I mean, on TV, when he got done with this promo, I personally, it's probably the reason, fast forward 10 years, I said, let's kill Terry Funk. He said, your sons are all bastards. Like, holy mackerel. It was the most heated thing I'd ever heard, other than the Flame, a.k.a. the assassin, a.k.a. Jody Hamilton, putting my dad's picture on a tree and cutting a promo while he shot it with a .357 Magnum.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's out there, too. You can see that on, it's so old, but it's awesome. Yeah. But, like, I'd heard Terry do that, and I just thought, I hope my dad kills this guy, you know, and then Dad beat him, but he didn't kill him, so I had to try. 10 years later,
it's like a movie.
I was like, I remember you, son of
I'm holding the flag for my dad.
You called my mama. You old son of a beast.
Incredible.
Yeah, great story.
Dog,
Popped on it myself.
Let me tell you what else is incredible, my friend.
What's
Me and
that?
you know firsthand, brother. Jimmy's Famous Seafood.
You're talking about Jimmy's Seafood, ain't you? It ain't just Jimmy's Seafood, it's Jimmy's Famous Seafood. And if you know anything about seafood, you know why this place is famous for it, because it's out of Baltimore and it gets the freshest and the finest seafoods in the land. Go ahead with them.
Here's the best thing now, dog. It ships nationwide. You don't just have to go to Baltimore to experience Jimmy's Famous Seafood. It is destination.
Ship it to your house.
Place when you're there. But now,
ship it right to your house, dude. I got some. Hey, hold
shipping.
up. I got some crab cakes sent to my house.
Oh,
best crab cakes I've ever eaten in my life.
Watch out now.
Yeah, and don't even talk about the dead gum. Go ahead, keep reading. I'm sorry, I'm getting my mouth watered.
You're talking about the world's best colossal Maryland crab cakes.
Oh, to die for.
Incredible. Now look,
bro, those are to die for, bro.
Hey, you're sitting there and you're after Christmas, the beginning of the new year. Maybe you're done with all the Christmas food. You're done with all the New Year's partying. You got that little Christmas money in your pocket and you're going, what are we going to spend it on?
What are we going to spend it on, Jimmy's
How about
Seafood?
you get the best package
Jimmy's
ever
Seafood.
from our friends at Jimmy's Famous
Jimmy's
Seafoods.
Seafood.
The famous gift box.
Seafood.
You get 4 of those colossal crab cakes, 2 different crab soups, crab dip, seafood seasoning, and their signature base sauce. Or you can get that tailgate bundle, buddy. We are here coming up towards the end of football season. How about you get 2 pounds of wings, full rack of BBQ ribs, pint of crab dip, and crab cake mix. Or you can create your own package from whatever your favorites are. Over 40 years in the business. If you're one of the boys, you know. Go eat at Jimmy's Famous Seafood.
Oh, you didn't know?
Been on diners, dive-ins, and drives. Beat Bobby Flay and more right now. Look, you used to have to only go when you were in Baltimore.
To Baltimore
now,
and eat it.
Shipped right
Ship
to
it
wherever
right to
you
my
are.
house.
Free 2-day shipping in orders of over $125, excluding steamed crabs and fresh items. All you got to do is use the promo code
Dog.
DOGG Dog. That's
2
right.
G's.
Free 2-day nationwide shipping. That means you order it now. By the beginning of the next week, you're going to be ready to go eating all the beautiful Jimmy's Famous. You gonna find out why they're famous is what you're gonna do.
Seafood. Jimmy's Famous Seafood. Jimmy's Famous Seafood.
Dog.
Send me some crab cakes. Send me effing crab cakes. Send stinking crab cakes on Jimmy. All right.
That's what I do before I go in. I sing that same song every time.
Give me crab cakes. Instead of shake your crab cakes. Want crab cakes by the ocean. I think there was a song.
Crab cakes by the ocean.
One of the Jonas Brothers. He was running on a car, tattooing my brain up my butt. I don't know how the song goes. Imagine somebody that's listening.
You're next,
or watching
Mr. Russo.
Right Russo. Mr. Russo, I believe it's your turn.
Your time for a counterpoint.
You have 2 minutes.
Your mother's a whore.
By the way, Mr. Russo, you are not from Texas, are you, sir?
You're not from Texas. Let's get
Bro,
back into
no, I'm not from Texas, bro.
Bro, I'd love to see him call Terry Funk a bro to his face. Bro. Cornette.
One time Randy Orton called Vince dude. Hey, dude.
How'd that go?
And then when Randy walked away, Vince said, "Did you just call me a dude?" I was like, "Yes, sir, he did." I said, "It felt funny when he did it to me, too."
Cornette has said constantly that Russo didn't know anything about wrestling, and all he booked was Crash TV and Jerry Springer. Thoughts, Dog?
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
Right.
But neither did like a bunch of people watching television. You know what I mean? Like the ratings said otherwise. The ratings agreed that that was appropriate for the time. You know what I mean? It was different than what he thought, he being Jim, but it's what America bought, and that we kind of moved in that crazy, raunchy direction, and it worked. You know what I mean? And maybe it was Crash TV. Of course it was. It's why it burned out so fast.
Right.
But it was bright. It was shine bright like a diamond, and it was it was a comet that burned bright. The Attitude Era was, and so it burned out. But like I don't know. That's where we went. That's what was needed right then. That's what was asked for, because we gave them a taste and they asked for more. So that's what was asked for. So that's what we gave them. And you could be mad about the way the wrestling business has evolved or digressed or whatever, regressed, I guess, however you feel, but you're just going to be mad then. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I don't know. I don't necessarily like everything I see on there today, and don't necessarily like everything I'm involved with creatively sometimes, but I'm a 53-year-old man, and I don't think I'm the target audience. And if I am, I think your business model's wrong.
On the flip side, Russo has said constantly, to paraphrase, of course, that Cornette booked everything based on Southern wrestling and didn't know how to adapt to current eras. You've touched on that. That has got truth to it as well, right?
So, yeah, but I think it's a blanket statement that says it makes it sound like Jim doesn't know anything about wrestling.
Yes.
Who was that?
That Southern wrestling is wrong.
Yeah, it's
that
wrong.
Doesn't mean
and
it's
so,
wrong.
So no, it doesn't. And there's a great history and a great deal of, just like there is Canadian wrestling, just like there is in Northeast wrestling, just like there is in Midwest wrestling and West Coast wrestling, very prominent territories in those days that grew a lot of great wrestlers out of them. And so having knowledge of that and booking knowledge about that, holy crud, you could do it again anytime and it would work, because people weren't even born when you did it last in Memphis. You know what I mean? So to have that knowledge is invaluable. And I think it's not fair to say he had no idea about eras, because that's not true. He could do his ideas on every show. Jim Cornette could do his ideas on every show, and 50% of the people would like them and not know the difference. Because I think at their core, they're both like entertaining wrestling guys, but Jim Cornette's the smarter wrestling, the knowledge as far as that goes, for sure. Like, he's a historian and he still watches and studies and all that stuff. So he has knowledge like that. I don't know if anybody has as much as he does. So to make it sound like he has no knowledge of emerging eras or whatever, like, that's not fair to say. Because like I said, he could book the show, and I guarantee you half the people, because look, that's what we're doing now. We're doing a lot of Memphis, turn the refs back and bing, bang, boom, and here we go. And it's entertaining and it's awesome and it's good television. It's good wrestling matches. That's why we do it. So those are all like under the guise of a Jim Cornette philosophy. and a Vince Russo philosophy, to be quite honest with you, because of the chaos and the run-ins and that was very Attitude Era. So I just think there's more, there's more similarities than there are differences. I know I've said that before, but I can't get away from that statement.
What do you think about this statement? Russo can work with Jim, but it seems like Jim can't work with Russo.
Oh, I don't know.
You know the guys.
I do know the guys, and I can see that. See that. However, I don't know that. I don't know that. It seems like now, holy mackerel, now things have been said that there would have to be a real sit down and come to Jesus with both of them together. And I don't think Jim believes in Jesus. And so I don't know if you know what I'm saying? I just don't know if they could do it now after, I'd love for them to say it's water under the bridge, but holy mackerel at the water. You know what I mean? There is some water been under that bridge, son, and talk about peeing on graves and fighting them here and doing this there, and just such like animosity. You just go like, man, these two guys hate each other. I don't know why.
Before we get out of here, let's just get one more. If you got a Vince story and you got a corny story, maybe one for the road here on both of us. Maybe something you hadn't shared with us yet about Russo.
Okay. Me and Russo just, this is not going to be, sexy because it doesn't have to do with burying him or anything. We actually, during this year, 2022, that we talked about at the Open, we reconnected, and I blocked him on Twitter because I was writing the show, and he's DMing me, telling me how he can make the show better. And I'm thinking, dude, I'm just trying to hang on to my job with my stinking fingers like I'm riding a bull, you know what I mean, and trying to stay sober and trying to write the show, and then you're telling me how crappy I'm doing, and like it was just not the time, you know what I mean? And so I blocked him on Twitter, and so we didn't communicate for a long time, and then he got my number and called me and offered me the opportunity to do the podcast with him on Sportskeeda. And so it was big of him to call. We talked, we ironed it all out. Like there was nothing really to iron out. It was just kind of like me saying, dude, I couldn't take it because I was cracking. You know what I mean? That ain't nothing on you. That's on me. I couldn't take the criticism anymore. I heard it all on Twitter. Every time you open the thing on Twitter, somebody's got something negative to say about you. And that's whether you're the lead writer of SmackDown or just a guy posting about his hoagie sandwich. So I don't know. I love the guys. You know what I mean? I love the guys. I don't have an interesting Vince story, but we just reconnected this past year, and I appreciate it.
Do you think he was coming at that as a friend, and really coming maybe deep down he was trying to help you out?
I think both. I think
it came
both.
off wrong. Yeah.
No, I don't think it was. I don't think it was him reaching out to make peace so we could do the podcast. I don't think it because he wasn't getting me rich. You know what I mean? He wasn't. We were paying the light bill, and that was about it. But so it wasn't like he was really. But he did think of me, and called me, and we. You know what I mean? So it meant something to me. Whether he thought it would be marketable or thought it would be good or whatever, you know what I mean? It was also, I had just, been released. And so trying to find something.
I meant the messages in your DMs. Do you think legit he was trying to help a friend out and you just weren't in that place to receive it yet? Or do you think it was, what are you doing, bro?
Maybe, but it felt, and
more
again,
attacking.
this could be totally me, man, because it was the temperature of the day when I was the lead writer of SmackDown. I would literally read on Twitter, you should be taken out in the street and run over by a dump truck. You know what I mean? Like it's that you should be fired. Right. You should be this. You should be, and it's like, man. And so it was hard to go on there to begin with, and then he's DMing me. And he wasn't doing anything bad. He wasn't saying it wasn't like that, but it was hard to hear because I'm hearing it all the time anyway. You know what I mean? And so it was just like, I gotta tap out of this. You know what I mean?
Start calling it from everybody.
Yeah.
All right. We got a ton of fan questions, as you can imagine. We've probably touched on a little bit of it, but let's try to get to all of them here and then get out of here, Dog. But first, Let's throw it to our buddy Conrad Thompson so he can tell everybody, hey, some of y'all might be out there and put Christmas on a credit card. Save with Conrad.com. He can hook you up.
Check it out.
NMLS number 65084, equal housing lender. Woo!
The 5-star reviews are in and it's confirmed SaveWithConrad.com can save you thousands. Jimmy E writes that we saved his family more than $1,000 a month. James S says we saved his family more than $1,200 a month. But how much can you save? It's free to find out right now at SaveWithConrad.com. But if you've got a second mortgage, if you've got credit card debt, or even worse, if you're in a 30-year loan, it's not a matter of if we can save you money, but a matter of how much at SaveWithConrad.com.
All right, Dog. Questions from the fans, or the skanks, as we like to call them.
Why'd you call them that?
You started that.
No, ma'am.
Many episodes ago.
No, sir.
Our fans are skanks.
Okay.
Hey,
I know that didn't happen, and I'd like to throw the replay flag.
Buddy, I can't wait till we post
I'm just
that.
kidding.
No.
I'm just kidding. I remember it, but I threw it out there like negatively. It felt, but it stuck.
But you said we're all skanks.
It stuck.
Are you a skank?
The skankiest.
See, we're all.
I'm. What's her name? Swank. Except I'm skank. I'm Hillary Skank.
I was going to tell you to put the shovel down. I thought you were going to go, what's her name? You know that big skank? I'm as skanky as her. That's what I thought you were going to get with. You were going wordplay, and I like that.
Hillary Skank.
They call you Hillary Skank. Not saying Hillary Swank is one.
No.
WWE
But her tramp stamp does. Sorry.
WWE Master 2018. He says, ask Dog, did Cornette want to strangle Russo over the Brawl for All? And what do you think of the vignettes produced by Russo called The Blonde Bitch Project in 1999?
Whoa. I have no idea what that last part is.
Okay, you don't know about the
I
BB
do not
Project.
know about the double B.
The Blonde Lady Project. But what
BBP.
about Brawl for All?
But the Brawl for All, I'm sure Cornette wanted to strangle him from Brawl for All. Like, look, everybody looks back and like, oh, this was a horrible thing. But we still talk about it. And it is from an out. You got to give Russo this. From an outsider's point of view, that's not fair to say. From a smart Mark's point of view.
Okay.
That. Don't you wonder who the toughest wrestler is? Like,
yes.
Haven't you ever thought, like, I wonder who the two could just beat the crap out of everybody?
Correct.
This was almost an opportunity to see that. And it was as close as you were going to get. And so the concept is attractive and interesting to me. And I know it didn't go that way, but man, I remember Bart Gunn got a brand new bag, brand new amount of respect, and then got his block knocked off by a guy who was a professional boxer. But like, it was, holy mackerel, this was an opportunity to maybe see, like, if two guys got in a fight, who would win. As close as you could go with phony baloney wrestling.
At Cinofficial says, by the way, guys, just wanted to chime in. Saw Bret Hart trending. All I could think about was how much better of an entertainer Brian R.D. James is. And just hearing 3 Deep Conrad in my ear telling me about making my balls look pretty. Listen, I'm a skank. It is what it is.
So could I just say that that gentleman is a gentleman, right?
I believe so. It's a cartoon for their picture, but I'm going to go gentleman.
What was the name again?
Cinofficial.
Cinofficial.
SYNIFI.
Yeah, I love whoever that is.
He's
I
a
do.
skank.
I love it. They're a skank. They're
Yep,
right with me. And
let's go.
I mean, I don't know what you consider yourself, how you identify, but I identify as skank.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and at some points in the early mornings, my wife says skunk.
Skunk. Skink, skunk. On Instagram, at a wrestling historian says, if the New Age Outlaws debut was coming out of a giant box, would you and Billy have been instantly over? Thanks in advance.
Yes, of course. Did we just watch the one about Jeff coming out in the giant box? My father sent me a gift from the Bahamas. And so, yes, of course. Here came Mankind and Jimmy Jack Funk, Terry Funk, Chainsaw Charlie out of there. Instantly over. Highest paycheck, biggest paycheck I ever got.
Francis Reyes, who do you think that he's talking about Cornette and Russo? Do you think they could ever be friends, and what would it take? Like you said,
that's
big,
it. They gotta,
big come to Jesus meeting.
They got to sit down, man. They got to sit down in somewhere where they're. But it has to be known up front. Like it's almost like a stinking intervention, but with a mediator. You know what I mean? And I guess even interventions have a mediator. But it's they got to know going in. We're going to try this. I'm going to try. You know what I mean? Right. They both have to give a valiant effort. Like because if not, upon sight, I think it sparks off. You know what I mean? If they don't, if they just run into each other somewhere, I think the raw emotions pop up too fast. I think they got to plan this and sit down and know we're going to the beer garden to settle this. You know what I mean? We're going to go and hammer this out. And whether they're willing to do that or not, like, I don't know. But I honestly think there's money on the table with those two guys as a creative force in our business.
Michael Double M, he's Double MX Punk on Twitter, says, two-parter. Dog, do you have a better Cornette or Russo impression?
Yeah, probably Russo, and you've heard it a few times. It's not good.
Bro.
But yeah, it's just saying bro a lot, really, and try to sound like.
What about Corny? You don't have a real.
I don't have a Cornette.
Just get loud with
because
him.
I feel like I kind of sound like him anyway, right? I'm just a redneck, right?
Heard you've got a good Terry Funk.
Nope.
No, really.
Now his wife, I can imitate. Well, no, I don't know.
Terry. In my head, does she talk just like him?
She talks exactly like him.
He said, second, are any of these two, Cornette or Russo, a better sports entertainer than Bret Hart? That's tough.
Is both acceptable?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you rank sports entertainers, and we just had those three, where would you rank them? I'll say
right above. You know what I mean? Like Cornette 1, Russo 2, Bret.
Okay, that's fair. It looks your ranking.
I mean, yeah, it's my story, right? And we may as well. Everybody hates my guts for it anyway. It's either that or something else you hate me for. But I appreciate you listening. And I have a good time, whether you like it or not. You know.
Well, guess who else has a good time? Yambag Jones and Yambag.
Yambag. I've been interacting with YB a little bit on Twitter.
Oh, AFS Yams, as he's known. Speaking of Brawl for All.
Is that ad-free show?
Yeah, ad-free shows Yams. Okay.
Do you know this character?
No, I know he's a Yambag.
How come we hadn't met him yet at a Top Guys convention? Just because he has ads free on there don't necessarily mean he's a top guy.
What if we have, and this is his alter ego?
What? Right? It's
what
Super
if it's
Dave.
A she?
It's Super Rep. It's Ashley the Cupcake Princess.
It's too funny for Bondwater Super Dave. Yambag says, who'd win in a shoot fight right now, Cornette or Russo? Woo!
I don't know what Russo's got in the tank.
Okay.
But I know, I don't know if he knows karate, but I know Jim knows crazy. So I don't know. That's a great question. Just like maybe if we had a Brawl for All with these two in there.
That's what I'm saying.
Maybe the Brawl for All.
Still a good idea.
Maybe the Brawl for All precedes the sit down. You know what I mean? So we get them full. It's like running a pit bull. It's like
get the energy out.
Get him to hang on the tree. You know what I mean?
Horse dude, yeah.
Yeah. Get him and then teach him to sit, and then introduce him to your child. Then you know what I mean? Like then now we're talking. So yeah, let them beat each other up a little bit. But I don't know who would win that thing. But yeah, let them tire themselves out like when you're wrestling the alligator. You kind of got to get the fire out of them before you lay on top of them, you know.
Austin Williams wants to know, how did Jim Cornette and Vince Russo feel about DX and the New Age Outlaws? You've said Russo helped it grow. Maybe what was the flip side? What do you remember, Cornette?
You know, and so I'm afraid that, like we heard from the clip earlier in the episode, that I wasn't around Jim in the creative process much because he didn't like Sean and Hunter. You know what I mean? Because they did the curtain call. And so that's his prerogative and that's his right. But that's why I didn't even know he was on the creative team still, because I just, but again, that's not that he wasn't transparent or accessible. It was just because I was in La La Land. And so,
and if he wasn't in on those meetings and then you wouldn't have had much to do with him day to day anyway.
At all.
You got to focus on you.
And so I don't know how much he was involved in the DX run. I'd actually love to talk to him about that someday. You know what I mean? And get those answers for myself.
Sebastian Lalonde.
Oh my God. I love you, sir.
He says,
Sebastian Lalonde.
My God, I really think Russo did some good stuff, but since Attitude Era, I can't see something good from him. I think Cornette lives in the past, but he's a legend at what he did. Yep. Great manager.
I think those are two facts that could live together happily ever after. You know what I mean? Like, the Attitude Era is pretty big notch in your friggin' belt. You know what I mean? Like, to me, and the guy states that. He did some great stuff. Hadn't seen much since the Attitude Era. Can't deny that. Went to WCW. It didn't kind of go so well, so I totally see the guy's point. Sebastian Lalonde.
Sebastian Lalonde.
Lalonde, como somebody at the law say. And Cornette is exactly what he said he was. A legend in this business and great manager, and maybe living in the past a little bit when it comes to wrestling. You know what I mean? And his ideas and philosophies about professional wrestling. But that doesn't stop you from being a productive citizen of America. You know what I mean? Like, he just longs for yesteryear, and oh man, don't I too? You know what I mean? And so I don't think that's a bad thing. I think the knowledge he has is priceless, and I think he could help anybody at anywhere if he wanted to. I don't know what he wants to do right now in his stage of life, but I think Jim and Vince both could offer help, you know what I mean, to some of these companies. And I don't think it's going to work out that way for this company, but there's other companies running wrestling shows and television shows that I think they could both be welcome additions to, even if they were added at the same time. Very interesting. And you might say 3 might be them going at it in the men's bathroom. And when I say going at it, I don't mean fighting. No. I mean, they are using their Manscaped items. Sorry. I went off the rails again.
Daniel Ellis says, as a bi-weekly Cornette listener, I am biased. Is there something about Russo I have missed? I despised his WCW run, and every bad idea in TNA got blamed on Vinny Rue. Can BGJ defend any of it? Change my mind. I think that's what some people get lost, is they're starting with the WCW run, when in fact he helped the big run in WWF. He helped the Attitude Era, which everybody loves so much. So maybe he's getting blamed for that.
Can I tell you something? I'm sorry. You're going to have to read that again. Sami Zayn, this is happening in real life, sent me a text that said Road Dogg wrestled The Rock and Steve Austin while high. And he said, it's a picture of me standing in between Rock and So Cold, and it says, is this news?
Is this news? Just text him back. Let's kill Terry.
I did. I said, no, sir, it's not. I mean, it's news, but it's really old news, like really old. Literally 30 years old. Like, good Lord.
All right. What I was going to say, he said he despised the WCW run and everything in TNA got blamed on him, which we touched on. But my point is, I think that's what some people forget about the WWF run that Russo had, which was great things. It was the Attitude Era that a lot of us loved.
Yeah, the tail end of his career didn't go, WCW didn't go well. I think TNA got a lot of things got blamed on him that maybe weren't all his to take. You know what I mean? And it goes back to what I say again about just how many people are involved in these creative processes. And how one misstep at one level in that process changes the game. And so I don't know, you'd have to really dig down deep and go through some history to find all this was Vince Russo's fault. You know what I mean? And say that proudly and confidently. Like, no, it takes a team, and the team either agreed with that decision to move forward or something, but like it's on everybody. You know what I mean? It's not just on one person.
Brad Stanton over on AFS on the Top Guys post, he says, seems like Vince was up for almost anything, right?
Yeah. He's talking about who? McMahon or Russo?
Vince Russo.
Yeah, he was, and it was craziness. But remember that time? It was craziness. It was Jerry Springer was actually a television show that like got ratings and stuff. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like we think it's idiocracy now. What about that time? You know what I mean? Fast forward to
right.
30 years, 28 years ago, and it was crazy. But that's what it was different, and it was crazy different, and it was good. And then it wore out its welcome, and we realized you can't be rated R 24/7 and expect to have an audience 18 to 49. You know what I mean? Like you get, or whatever the age is. And so he changed the game, man, and the game changed. And whether it was good or bad, it didn't matter. It changed. And so here we are. And if you're a wrestling fan today, none of this affected you because it was in the past. But if you're a wrestling fan today and you're a historian, you know about these two guys and you know about their past. Jim Cornette was a great manager, and he's a great, probably one of the best interviewers, like I said, with Paul Heyman that I've ever heard. Great manager, like I said, great mind in the business. Vince Russo came in and had a great run with what he has in the business, what he knows about in the business. And so I don't know. I think they're just two different guys with two different philosophies. Both have been successful and both have been unsuccessful. So I don't know, man. I think if they could work together, though, Wonder Twin Powers activate, shape of a new indie fed.
Last two fan questions. Jeremy Priest over on our AFS website says, people always talk about their favorite rivalries in wrestling. Cornette versus Russo without question is a top 3. What say you, Dog? What's notorious rival? This isn't just storylines, but actual people in wrestling clashing like this.
Yeah, it's got to be. Like it's been the longest, that's for dang sure, because I think people are either dead or have fought by now. But this one's been going on social media and through the podcast.
I would say Goldberg and Brett had a long run.
Yeah, but it's probably still has that one too. But I don't know. I don't hear them talk about each other every time they talk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But maybe it might be equal to or a little less than the rivalry between myself and Bret Hart.
Right.
Because that's one
what it is. Yeah.
That
Yours
goes
is hot
on
right now.
for the ages. Yeah. That one's
Yours
getting
is
a lot of
flaming
play.
hot. I mean, y'all had an awkward.
I'm flaming, all right.
Y'all had an awkward interaction in the airplane. I mean, who else has had that?
Nobody. That's what I'm trying to get at. No,
Cornette
I just
and Russo
think
never fought in an
it may be
airplane.
top 3. It may be top 3. Their angle may be top 3. What if it's a work? What if it's all a work? It couldn't be. It's too good, right? It couldn't be. One of them would have broke by now.
We weren't smart enough for that.
Yeah, one of them would have broke and said, "Okay, we were just kidding, y'all."
All right, last one from
Hey,
Brian
for real,
Fuller.
can I say this? I'm sorry. I would pay $50.
Okay.
Maybe 100. Not even kidding. To
Early
sit in the
entry.
audience and watch them have a conversation with a mediator. But to watch them, there is life in that right there.
Welcome to Point Counterpoint with Terry Funk.
I'll tell you what, Mrs. Russo, your son is an egg-sucking dog. Cornette.
Floor's yours.
Yeah. Cornette,
right.
What says you?
Brian Fuller says, Mr. DOGG, you seem to get along with both of these guys. Was there a creative person you worked with in your career that rubbed you the wrong way, either with a stupid idea or just their general personality backstage?
No. There honestly wasn't. Like, it was so they didn't really go, like, I was kind of gone by the time they went to several writers, and you know what I mean? It was kind of the creative team was growing in size, and it wasn't all just Vince and one other guy anymore. And so I only knew the people that Vince brought in and trusted. And like I said, I knew Jim from earlier in our lives, and I met Vince for the first time when OJ and I did that thing in
Walking
Buffalo.
around Brentwood.
yeah. And so, look, I do get along with both of these guys, and I think I've said it 100 times on here, and I'll say it again. They're both smart guys when it comes to marketing and entertainment and wrestling. But what Jim doesn't realize is what Vince has to offer would help Jim's product, and the wrestling knowledge that Jim has to offer would help Vince with maybe his chaotic booking process. You know what I mean? So I think they would even each other out into a really great wrestling television writer / promoter if they could sit down.
Would you say Vince McMahon was smart enough to see that maybe these two guys could help each other? Let's put them on the same staff.
Yeah, I'm sure he did, and I'm sure he tried, and obviously it didn't, for whatever reason, it didn't work, and maybe, you know, Vince is a guy that when he wanted to change something, he didn't wait 6 months to change it. He cut bait, and we made the change, and that was the way he worked. And so it was, hey, this ain't working. Okay, he's gone. You're in here now. Boom, bang, boom, and the next day the show happens. You know what I mean? It's not a oh, this is how we're gonna move this. You know what I mean? The corporate housing skills or whatever.
Right.
I don't even know what I
Cut
just
bait
said.
and move.
Yeah, cut bait and move. And so that's just the way he was, and that's the way that happened, I guarantee you. And then it was just like Jim probably couldn't take it anymore. You know what I mean? He was like, I'm not going to just sit around and watch you bury the business in my mind. You know what I mean?
Well, thanks for starting the year off with this. I mean, these guys have good, bad, whatever it is, they have both left a huge mark on the wrestling business.
I'm hoping that 2023, that these two gentlemen here set the pace for relations in America this coming year. So the pressure is on Jim Cornette and Vince Russo. You guys got to get together, iron out the wrinkles, and come together right now. Over me. Yeah, man, just do it. Come together and
come on
and
now.
See what happens in the wrestling world when you do.
Well, we appreciate all of our skanks for coming together with us this week, and look forward to this thing getting bigger and better in 2023.
They used to call me Tom Skanks.
Tom Skanks.
Back in Puerto Rico. I worked under a hood.
We appreciate y'all joining us this week and look forward to a long, fruitful year for everybody.
Yep.
Before you leave, make sure you like and subscribe and leave a 5-star rating on all the platforms. Also follow us on Twitter, the cesspool that it is, at Brian R.D. James, at the Casio Kid. When Twitter's good, it's good, but when Twitter's
Hey, you know
bad,
what I like about
it's
Twitter? Not getting on it.
Show handles at You Didn't Know Pod. YouTube, of course, like, subscribe, turn on notifications at youtube.com/DOGG. By the way,
Amen.
Another guy that had a huge mark on the business. Give a quick shout out to our buddy, Mr. Eric Bischoff.
Eric
has
Bischoff.
a new book out, Grateful, with him and Guy Evans. Get that at bischoffbook.com.
Grateful. And hey, that's where you find happiness, my friend, is when you have peace of mind, when you're thankful. There's a saying in a grateful drunk won't pick up a drink. And that's that. Think about that, because that's the truth. If you got a lot to think about, a lot to be thankful for, it's a good reason. Sometimes it's just you and your higher power, between you and that Drizink or that Drizug, and you gotta stop, look, and listen, and pay close attention. All right, hey, Happy New Year, everybody, on the real. And just like he said, man, like and reply and interact with us. I love interacting on Twitter, even though I bury it all the time. I like talking to you guys on there and seeing what the fans like and don't like. And so, Happy New Year, and let's move forward in 23 and make the world a better place for you and me. Sorry. I don't know what happened there.
So you're not going to tell him to suck it now?
Oh, am I
After
supposed
that
to
good speech? Well,
I'm sorry. I didn't know
felt
if
bad.
we were.
I was going to set you up for it, but you were like, "That was a good speech. Come together and we should bury our differences."
Suck it. It just feels wrong now. What if I say, like, suck it? Like, if you want to? You know what I mean? That way, it's almost like getting consent.
What if we wrap up every show with "Let's go kill Terry Funk"?
Mr. James, what if he was your principal? He said, Brian James to the principal's office. Brian James, your mother is a whore. Oh, God. Okay, I'm sorry. We should probably go on that note. I love you guys.